past life imprints. What is good? Welcome. Past life imprints that show up in this lifetime. And we can even probably talk a little bit more about Chinese face reading as well. Which I think is really fun. I love Chinese face reading. Yeah. So, who we got on here? Sweet. My people. Past life, like, when you think about time, how we have made up time to kind of help out and construct our world currently, time is something we have just made up, and technically everything converges at once, and that's why you can do what's called past life therapy. And past life therapy, when you do those regressions, you can actually also do progressions into future life therapy as well. You hear me? Which, when I first started dabbling in this information, I did not understand really the future life, and I'm still trying to understand that. I'm seeing more and more connectivity. Essentially, we're going to focus on all these topics today with future life, how I'm seeing that comes about, where our future life is already being planned out in the physical right now, right here, is based off of what you're being drawn to, right? So, for example, I believe I was telling you guys this earlier in the week with my aunt. She's, for some reason, really drawn to getting her doctorate in therapy, like psychology. And essentially, that's pulling her into her next life, where she's going to be probably at the top tier within that field, building something larger for a grander amount of people, helping out more people based on the information that she knows. Other ways that you basically are kind of led into your future life by the decisions you make today, and also you'll get signs and synchronicities as well. Like, some of them might be all of a sudden you have an interest in a very specific topic, or a very specific place, or a very specific people group. That would be some ways that your future life is kind of pulling you. Okay. For example, with me, all of a sudden, halfway through my life, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm 33. It's my Jesus year. Thank you. Thank you. What's good, Christ consciousness? No, it's not about me though, so it's about we. What was I trying to say? Essentially, oh yeah, I'm like super into, I grew up in the church. I'm not going to read long comments about what's not relevant, because we got a lot to discuss that's actually relevant and helpful and useful in this lifetime and the next, and in our previous lifetimes as well, because again, time is converging into one. So, to earn my attention, you got to be respectful and actually add value. So, glad we set the rules. What was I saying? Oh yeah, all of a sudden I'm very interested in Jewish mysticism. I grew up in the Christian church, in the Southern Baptist church, but I'm so knee deep into Jewish mysticism, and also thanks, Ethan, my guy. We pop off together. Yes, King. Yes. And I'm really always pulled towards physics. What a random topic to be pulled towards at 30 years old, right? And then I'm also really pulled towards, as of lately, Hebrew. And I was doing my Duolingo Hebrew, and for some reason I'd be getting aces on the Duolingo with Hebrew. Hebrew, I don't know if you guys have dabbled with Hebrew at all. It's such, you don't read right or left to right, you read right to left. It's so why am I all of a sudden sort of kind of good at this when I'm just starting, right? So we kind of get these, what I'm trying to say here is things are so interconnected, and we only notice if we have awareness of how interconnected these things are. So, yeah, that's just one of the big ones that I've been experiencing. You guys can put in the chat if you've been experiencing anything quite like that. But yeah, so I want to kind of go over more 3D manifestations of like past life histories, because I think it's really, really interesting, and I know you guys were enjoying that yesterday. So I prepared a few things to kind of cover with y'all. Actually, I prepared a lot, which I'll be talking. We're going to continue this tomorrow because I have like a ridiculous amount of information. Like, there's just endless amounts of information. Yeah, while I'm finding what I want to show or talk about, I also do have to say that thinking about the future life is really just tripping me up, because there are signs, right, in our daily life today for our future lives of how interconnected these things are. But time, as we know it, we always like to... we have a better understanding of the past. We always study history. We don't study the future, really. People kind of make up the future, or they do like future regressions, but there's no like specific class of like studying the future or like predicting the future, or like, I don't know, on a high scale. Like, you're not going to a crazy high scale university where they're predicting the future. Generally, if I'm wrong, let me know. I'd love to perhaps take a class, get in with this future prediction, because I mean, obviously we can call these things in. Like with divination, you can kind of prophesize. In the Bible, everywhere in the Bible there's prophecy. You know, prophets, right? Those are people that are able to predict the future. But anyways, so yeah, I wanted to go over some of the 3D manifestations so you guys can start looking through your own lens of life. When you start to understand these concepts, you'll start to look through life in a different way, which is like super cool. Kind of like we were talking yesterday, where you essentially, if someone's obese, there's a lot of reasons you can be obese, right? So right bro, right? It convolutes your mind. Your mind will fold into itself. Okay. Which I love. I'm like, I want my mind to just be convoluted. I want it to be folding into itself. So, past life traumas manifesting as 3D things in our current reality. Here are some of them. Past life trauma of someone who has drowned, someone who has been in a shipwreck, someone who has been in a flood, swept away by a body of water. Okay? 3D physical manifestation in their present life. A lot of phobias around water. People that don't like to be on the water. I'm actually one of them. I don't like to be on the water. I'd rather be in a hot tub. That's my type of water. Or like warm water. I don't like cold water at all. It makes me cringe. Right? So yeah, maybe we were freaking kicking it back in Atlantis when Atlantis was freaking taken over. Who knows? It's giving Atlantis. Fear of pools. They're gonna have potential ailments of asthma, of breathing ailments, and struggles with breathing. Those are some of the ways that you could have 3D physical manifestation of past life drowning. This one I think is really interesting, which is if someone's been in a past life, if they've been burnt to death, which is pretty horrific. But again, remember you guys, we pick these things out. We choose these things. When we're on the other side, we pick our exit points. We've got multiple. And so it's hard to kind of, chat about these things sometimes, but just know these are things part of life. The death process is like blinking your eyes. And it doesn't matter what type of pain you have, whether you're burnt alive or you're stabbed to death or you're shot, you can actually immediately choose on the conscious level to eject out of your body. Pain is an illusion as well. Pain is what we decide to have. If we think we need to suffer, we will suffer. If we think we don't need to suffer, we can choose to elevate out of that situation immediately. Death is a blink of an eye. Does that mean we should kill ourselves because death is so easy? No, absolutely not. So, back to some of this here. Past life trauma with 3D manifestation. So if someone was burnt in a past life, they're going to have, of course, fear of fire, avoidance of kitchens or anything that's really hot, maybe candles as well. They're going to have a lot of skin sensitivities. This might pop up in their 3D physical where they are, like I was saying yesterday, they might have like a bunch of freckles or just some type of skin ailments. So, as a reminder, this section that I'm talking about within our reality energetically is just one of many things. But these are very important, right? For example, when it comes to a skin ailment, like someone that has a lot of acne or stuff like that, that could be potential from having a bunch of shame in either past life or current life, right? So there's so many different meanings energetically behind what we manifest and see in our 3D physical energetically. So what I'm trying to keep you guys in the mindset of is when I say these things aren't definites, they're just part of a bigger whole. Because there's anomalies too and stuff like that. Welcome, thank you guys for being here. So yeah, next is if someone has in a past life, they've fallen off a cliff, what do you think they're going to be scared of in this life? Probably heights. Right? Probably heights. Or maybe a battle injury. They're going to have, if they had a battle injury, a lot of times if you've been in war in previous lifetimes, you're going to have that come up with chronic weakness within specific areas of your body, maybe your legs or whatever, or ankles. Or if you've been killed in a specific area in your previous lifetimes, perhaps multiple times. Maybe multiple times you've been hurt in the same exact area or killed within the same region of your body in a previous lifetime. You're actually going to see that manifest in your 3D reality here with ailment in that very specific area. Okay, so do keep that in mind. A lot of times when people do any past life regression hypnotherapy, because they have chronic pain or they have phobias that are keeping them from living their best lives, it's found within specific pain points within their previous life traumas. When they go back and they relive these in the subconscious, because the subconscious takes note of literally every detail, okay? Down to the last fiber. We are just operating computers in this big grand scheme of things, okay? Where was I going with that? Y'all. Okay, sometimes I like get on the train and then I'm like, wait, where's the train going? My bad. Okay, I guess we'll go back to this. So, if someone has been executed by a hanging or strangulation, right? They're going to have chronic throat issues, voice suppression, and neck tension. I hate to say it because it's so soon. Charlie Kirk, I've been studying him every day. The men in this group, you need to study Charlie Kirk as well, because it doesn't matter if you believe or agree with his viewpoints. Study how he holds himself, how he carries himself. He's a very, very good man. He just got shot in the neck. What can happen in his next life when he comes back is he could have either a birthmark right there or like something. It was a very traumatic experience, right? So that's probably going to manifest where he either has neck pain in his next life, or he has a birthmark right here, or he has, the beginning of his life, he has trouble speaking up, or he has stage fright very easily. Okay, so these are just an example of, that's going to probably be something that he will have to work out when he comes back. And the cool thing is, guys, is we always want to come back and we always want to work it out again, which is wild, right? It's so cool that we're that badass, that we're like, yeah, I actually want to come back and try that again and do this over, and I want to do it better, and I know I can do it better. That's badass. Okay, so starvation, famine, and poisoning. We kind of covered this. That shows up in different types of eating disorders, whether people eat too little, or they overindulge and they get sick, or they overindulge and they get large. There's this one TikToker lady, she's so funny. She reminds me of Charlie Chaplin. You guys know what I'm talking about. She's the one that does all the dances in Starbucks. I'm like, you were Charlie Chaplin in a past life. She actually just did a silly video, comedy about people in some part of Europe. Maybe it was like British or Britain area. I don't know. Where she was like making fun of people that are obese. Not in a mean way, in like a funny way. Because we do need to be sensitive towards people's ailments, but anyways, she's hilarious. I really love her. I'm pretty sure she's literally Charlie Chaplin in a past life. You look at the face expressions, you look at the size of their faces, that can happen too. You know what else I'm convinced about? I'm absolutely convinced that Charlie Kirk was one of our founding fathers, and I will probably go into that in detail as to why. I have multiple things, like a bunch of screenshots on my phone of why I believe that, because we give clues with what we even say. There's been things, I shouldn't be going into this, but I'll give you one piece. For example, Charlie Kirk on stage one time, he said, if I were here 100 years ago, and the thing is, he probably was there 100 years ago, in the 1700s, late 1700s with the founding fathers. I'm fully convinced that he was one of our founding fathers and he came back. Because you look at his wife, Erica Kirk, she looks exactly like Ben Franklin. Don't play no games with me right now. Don't play no games. That's besides the point. We're not talking about that right now. However, we kind of are talking about that right now because it's very interesting. Sometimes, not always, you can have similar face shapes, similar eye colors as like other past lives as well. It's not as common, but I know. Good question. Thank you for asking a good question. Think it's a choice to come back or destined if we haven't completed our soul's evolution. It is absolutely a choice to come back, and we always want to. We're always like, yeah, I want to. Why? Because if you think about source, right? Source. Thank you so much. That's very sweet and very kind of you. So, if you look at my hand, it's quite large. We're not looking at that. But generally speaking, if this was source, and these little, like, phalanges popping off, these little fragments were us. You see that? Source is creator. We are creators too. Just micro expressions of creators, dense micro expressions of our own souls, of one larger soul. Okay? Yes, we want to. Why? Because look at your day-to-day life. When do you feel the most alive? When you're building, when you're creating, when you're growing? When are you the most depressed? When you're sitting on your hands, when you're crying about this and that, when you're not in movement, when you're not growing, when you're not giving back, when you're not creating, you're most depressed. So yes, we always want to come back, whether it's this earth or whether it's somewhere else in the multiverse, right? So, we always do, because, and essentially our soul's evolution is to go back to source, like be so evolved within the spiritual. On the spiritual realm side, there's all these different tiers, and it's probably endless, just like dimensions. We only know about like 20 plus dimensions, all, and then there's more than that, but we don't really know about those yet, because we're trying to get there. We're evolving into those dimensions. So what I'm trying to say, to wrap into your question here, is essentially we probably will just keep evolving for a very long time. I'm like, does it ever end? And then when we think it ends, new worlds can be created anyways. So it's like, I don't think it ever ends, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, my friend. Absolutely. Cool. So I'm going to go back into some of this. I don't think if I missed anyone's question, just pop it again to the base. Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. And here's the thing. We all are extensions of each other. So what I'm saying externally is something that you internally already have this information through our superconscious. We out ya. In the superconscious, ayy. In the superconscious, ayy. Okay, so I want to get back to some of these, how past life traumas show up in our 3D physical. Now, violent deaths, gunshots, or stabbing, just as I was saying, is going to give scars or birthmarks in the exact same location that someone was brutally wounded, okay? And potentially unexplained body pains. Loss of any loved ones in war or in a plague, you're going to have wounds of abandonment anxieties, attachment anxieties, fears. Potentially even if you lost your children, for example, or family members in a past life. When you have children, you're going to have overprotecting. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're going to have overprotecting parenting style. So a lot of our things that we're working through in this life reflect previous lives. And a lot of the things that we're working through in this life mirror what's going to happen in our next life. For example, if someone starves to death, or because they starved to death because they had a business and their business did extremely well and they had way too much abundance, and then all of a sudden they lost it all. They lost everyone, they lost everything, and they starved to death in that life. Probably in their next life, what would happen is they would have consistency and plenty of abundance, and they would have fear of never having enough, because they have lost things to such a detrimental state in a previous life. And so their next life, they wouldn't lose anything. It would be balancing out that fear of loss. So, if that kind of makes sense. Like, sometimes I yap so tough that I can't get out of breath. I promise I'm fit, guys. I'm just like yapping so much. It's like I can't get enough air. Okay. Yeah. Slavery, oppression, abuse of power, control issues, fear of authority, and self-worth struggles. Control is such an interesting thing to me. What is this person saying? Did this Ruben guy leave or what? I can't wait till I can have people that will like kick out people that are being obnoxious, so that way we can focus on people that are actually here to grow. But anywho, yeah, I love to kick people out. Like, you need to go. See you in the next life. Okay. Yeah. Because it's just such a distraction for me, because then I'm like, where were we? Control Control is a very interesting one. It's something that we all hate. We all hate to be controlled. At least I know I do. Can I get a amen in the chat? So how do we learn how to not control? If we have struggles with controlling others, we are forcefully controlled to learn, oh, maybe this isn't fun to control others. Maybe I don't like that. The best way to learn something and imprint it into your soul, amen, amen, is to go through the experience yourself, which sucks. Wouldn't you just rather learn, oh, maybe I shouldn't control people, and then learn by just not controlling people instead of having to experience being controlled? But then it wouldn't integrate properly. So you see how when we can up-level our consciousness collectively, we can learn, we can grow into higher vibrational frequencies together, then you can transmute and, not have to relive and relearn all those lower vibrational energy type of habits and drama and trauma and this and that, right? You can step out of the 3D. You can rise above all of that lower drama and trauma. That's right, my guy. Every single day. So, past life, if you were a musician or a healer or very good with languages, in this life you might have childhood prodigy tendencies. So anyone who's a really good musician at a very young age or a very good singer at a very young age, it's more than likely they developed these talents in previous lifetimes, because we take these things with us energetically. We're supposed to get better and better every single lifetime, right? So you'll take your gifts and your talents with you, which is pretty cool, and be able to utilize them and give back to the collective with whatever you are best at creative-wise. Yeah, and then of course, deep senses of familiarity. If you guys have any likes and interests that are kind of out of the norm, that you think might look out of the norm, but it's probably tied to a past life, like maybe you're really drawn to a specific people group or a specific cultural food, or maybe you're really drawn to a very specific area in the world, you're like obsessed with XYZ, whatever it might be, geographically. A lot of our likes and dislikes stem from previous lifetime imprints. And, of course, too, as I was kind of touching on earlier, it can also stem from what's drawing you into your next life. Because a lot of times we're already planning these things out on the astral realm and being led by our spirit team, our spirit guides, on what to focus on. Especially if you guys are intentional about asking for that, asking to be having your eyes, led to what you need to do, having your hands, your body led to what you need to focus on. I try to pray about that every day. What information do I need to focus on to help ground in the collective for you guys, right? Like, lead me to what I need to know, so that way I can teach everyone else. So I recommend you guys do ask for guidance, for your highest timeline guidance, right? I'm like so out of breath. I think I'm just pushing out more air than I'm taking in. I'm out of breath. Okay. Yeah, life is bizarre. So we'll go over more of these different ways that these ailments can come. You know what I think is quite interesting? Of course, I'm so happy you're here. This is why I'm doing this. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The galaxy, let's go. Let's go, dude. That's so on brand. So on brand. Look at us. Yeah. One thing I think is really interesting, and we were touching on this slightly yesterday, is ailments that we cosmic all day, brother. Let's go. Let's go. Yesterday we were talking a little bit about ailments and how the superconscious is literal to a point where it's kind of silly, where it makes you be like, you're so literal, do you think I'm dumb? Well, apparently the superconscious might think that we're somewhat not as smart as we potentially should be, because I'm gonna go through this with you guys. It's kind of interesting how right now, today, any ailments, or you can think about previous ailments in your current lifetime. So let's shift from past life to current life, okay? In your current lifetime, there are going to be potentially ailments that you have that are trying to speak to you. That's the superconscious is trying to speak to you and tell you, where you're out of balance energetically by giving you very specific ailments within your own 3D physical body, okay? Which is quite interesting, because I want you guys to scan your body, scan, of course, your previous, this lifetime, right? Think about any time you've had big ailments and see if they match up with what I'm going to tell you right here. Because I think you'll be surprised to know that they will match up, as I did this with myself and I was like, oh snap, that's true. That's true for me on many levels. So let me just find this right quick. Oh, we have like chakra. The chakras too are so interesting. So we could probably maybe dive more into that tomorrow. Yeah, and I do need to dive more into our future lifetime, how we're being pulled to that every single day. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. So I want you guys to, think about when I go through some of these ailments of your body and what they mean on an energetic level, and, think about that for yourself and see, how does this match up? Is this what I was experiencing during the times that I had these ailments, okay? So, the superconscious, like I was saying, speaks in extremely literal, symbolic language. So your aches, your body tensions, any reoccurring issues as well, often are the way of delivering a very specific message from your soul to your 3D physical, okay? So here are a few of the breakdowns of the body ailments and their energetic spiritual meanings. We'll start from the top and we'll go down. So your head and your mind. And this is for friends and family too, or coworkers, when they're like, oh, I have a headache. This stuff, they probably have mental overload. It's crazy. So, anyways, head and mind. Headaches and migraines are going to be a body ailment caused by mental overload, resistance to seeing the truth, unprocessed anger, frustration, pressure to perform. Interesting. Pressure to perform, or being out of control. Or, not being out of control, but to control. So, if you're having ailments in the eyes, it's not wanting to see something clearly, having denial or avoidance. If someone has ailments in the eyes, the right eye is going to signify having denial or avoidance of seeing something clearly from the outer world. So they're trying to block out truth externally. The left eye is going to be the inner world. Okay? So maybe not wanting to hear the truth or see the truth. You're rejecting the truth internally or externally in some way if you're having eye ailments. Ear ailments, difficulty hearing the truth or ignoring your own intuition, being overwhelmed by external noise and criticism. So next we'll go to the neck, and as you would understand and probably guess, there's it's just very literal, right? So stiff neck is gonna signify stubbornness, inability to see others' perspectives, holding on to resentment, throat pain or having a sore throat, suppression of your own voice, unspoken truths, and difficulty with self-expression, right? Thyroid issues. My mom always had thyroid issues. It's an imbalance between speaking your truth and pleasing others. Okay? So, again, these are the ways that our superconscious is trying to communicate with us, saying, hey, wake up, take these ailments seriously. There's an imbalance here, right? Obviously, there's also other things that can, give you thyroid issues and throat pain and this and that, but these are some of the more spiritual, symbolic reasonings of why these undertakings take place in the first place. How many times did I say place? Yo, that was a lot. Sorry about that. Anyways, so next we're going to go to the shoulders and back. And shoulder pain can signify carrying the weight of the world. We've heard that, right? We've heard that before. Having too many burdens, having too many responsibilities that you haven't been able to release yet, okay? The world on your shoulders, right? We hear that phrase all the time. It's a phrase because it's actually true. Upper back pain is going to be lack of emotional support and feeling unloved. Which, when I read that, it breaks my heart. Because, I don't know. I mean, just being a human being, we all need love. But yeah, upper back pain, lack of emotional support, feeling unloved. Mid back pain. What's going on right now? Is that guy still in the TikTok? Okay, so essentially we're discussing how some of the ailments within our bodies that we have are the superconscious of all information being extremely literal with where we're out of balance in our own lives, okay? They show up physically in our 3D. Where was I? Mid-back pain. So if you're having any mid-back pain, that's guilt, being stuck in the past. It's also unresolved emotions. For very low back pain, that's going to be having a fear of money, lack of financial support, feeling unsafe, material security. Okay. Having any pains in your arm is difficulty embracing life or reaching out to others. How literal is that? It kind of makes you be like, wait, does the superconscious think we're dumb? Anyways, I digress. I'm just poking fun. So, having any hand pain. I actually do get a lot of hand pain, like right here and stuff. But yeah, having hand pain in your hands, is having difficulties with needing to let go, or grasping too tightly to people, things, places, outcomes, trying to control. Also, an imbalance of giving and receiving when you have pain in your hands, okay? Carpal tunnel is a resistance to how you handle life, feeling trapped by repetitive tasks. It's just crazy how You get hurt on your right hand. Yeah, I mean, we've all experienced some of these things on this list here, and it's just like, oh wow, like, you can go back to that time and be like, dang, I was out of balance energetically in this way. So this one was quite interesting when I learned about this with the stomach and digestive system. I thought this was very interesting. How if we get stomach aches, we're having difficulty digesting the environment. Like, I'm not just talking stomach aches, I'm talking like when people have difficulties with, like, maybe they have a bunch of intolerances, like they can't eat dairy, they can't eat this, they can't eat that, right? Gluten, peanuts, whatever. A lot of times it can be energetically they're having difficulty ingesting and digesting life experiences and or emotions and or environment and or potentially past life trauma, right? Fear of the unknown, not feeling safe. Exactly. You're completely right. It's wild. This is quite foul, but I have to say it because we're on the digestive track. Someone who has colon cancer literally is a lot of times like taking too much SHIT in their life. They're going through a lot of SHIT in their life energetically, and it's becoming an ailment through their body. It's really sad, but it's really true. And when we can know these things, we can have even more sympathy and try to help our fellow, souls out by saying, hey, energetically, you might be getting these ailments because of XYZ, because of symbolically, things are extremely literal, right? So when someone has like ulcers, that is worry, lack of trust, eating away at yourself. Pretty morbid. Eating away at yourself. If you're having troubles digesting all the way through your system, you can't go to the bathroom. You're holding on to old emotions or not letting go of the past. And then if you're having... Sorry, this is kind of like foul. I don't know how to say this without being foul, but the Hershey squirts. God, please save me. That's gonna be fear. It's important that we know these things, okay? I digress. But it's gonna be fear, lack of control, or wanting to run away from something. Okay? So let's move on to something a little more digestible. Sorry guys. We talk about real life here. We don't sugarcoat nothing, okay? We talk about the raw truth, and sometimes the truth. the truth. Kanye West said it like that, truth, with an F. All these stomach ones, yeah. Yeah, we're moving on. We're moving down. We're scaling down the whole body, right? So now we're gonna get to the hips and legs. So for anyone who's ever had hip pain on the left or right, or maybe even throughout, the right side of our body is usually outward facing, to include everything in the world, to include how we project ourselves to the world, who we are in public, right? The left side of our body is going to be private, inner world, how we process things internally, how we present ourselves to the closest people to us, our family members, this and that, our inner circle, right? Private, public, okay? Same thing with face reading, which I did kind of discuss that a little bit before. Face reading, Chinese face reading, when you have someone's faces out of balance, it's because they present themselves differently to the public than they do to the private sector. You have a limp on your left side. Yep, so potentially you're resisting change, my guy. We did face readings yesterday, I think. Fun. So, yeah, hip pain can be fear of moving forward, resistance to change, or fear of decisions. Knee pain can be pride, stubborn ego, difficulty with humility or surrender. Leg pain or restless legs, shaky legs, lack of grounding, right? Feeling stuck or fear of moving in life in a direction, in a specific direction. Any ailments currently within your ankles can be not wanting to be flexible in life, resistance to being flexible and more fluid, not feeling as supported or having enough support. Pain shows resistance to flexibility when it's in your ankles. Flexibility within life. So let's move down to the foot. Anyone who has foot pain, fear of stepping forward in life. How literal. How actually literal. It just cracks me up. Fear of stepping forward in life, lack of direction, disconnection from grounding and earth energy. Moving forward here, looks like we're actually going to hop. Oh, let's see. I don't know what the plantar is. Fasciitis plantar, something around your foot resembling resentment about the path you're on or fear of taking the next step. I'm not sure what part of the foot that is, but it's called the plantar fasciitis. Really butchering that one, guys. My apologies there. If anyone has or ever has had pain in the toes, it can indicate small worries about the future. So that's kind of funny how the feet are really tied into where you're going energetically, moving forward on things, right? It's very literal. So let's pop up to pain in the heart and pain in the lungs. Heart pain and heart palpitations indicate, of course, heartbreak or even lack of joy or imbalances even within your heart chakra. Asthma and lung issues can be difficulty breathing in life. How literal. How literal. Like, the amount that this is so literal is... This is my type of humor. I love it. Okay. Unresolved grief, asthma, lung issues, unresolved grief, and inability to feel safe receiving. Again, these ailments that I'm going through with our bodies can be tied to this life and what's currently going on energetically if you're having any of these ailments. And it can also be tied to past life too. Sometimes past life, you have enough of whatever going on, and maybe it's repetitive in a few lifetimes. You can get chronic pain. People get chronic pains, right? Where they're like, I just can't seem to shake whatever this is off. Well, chronic pain stems from an imbalance energetically for long, sustained periods of time, to include multiple lifetimes. So, yeah, I think I said the same thing twice, but in different ways. I do that sometimes. Oh, for sure. Blessings to you as well. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll be back on every single weekday in the evening. I'm just going to pop it into my bio on my TikTok what time, so you're always welcome to come through. Oh, thank you so much. Look at that. We on brand. Ayy, with the star. Ayy, appreciate you. Many blessings. Take care. Yeah. Thank you so much. appreciate you, JB. We're excited to see you again. Alright, fam. So, another one down here. We have the general symptoms. We've already discussed this. Again, obesity and weight struggles. Issues with protection of shielding yourself from hurt or past life starvation imprints. If you guys or anyone experiences extreme fatigue, that is resistance to life, which is wild, giving energy away and lack of alignment with your own purpose. Autoimmune disorders, if anyone you know has autoimmune or you yourself do, that's attacking yourself, which is so sad. So sad. Essentially, autoimmune disorders where your body literally attacks its own self can be due from deep self-rejection, unresolved trauma, deep-rooted, long-term unresolved trauma where the body wants to turn on itself. That is what autoimmune is, okay? Which is really sad. It makes me heartbroken because we all know, or even maybe someone in the chat might have it. Someone has autoimmune. It's your body turning on itself and you have suppressed deep down wounds, okay, that need to be worked through. Yeah, and that's why it's important for us to heal collectively together, because as we understand these things, we can point out the imbalances within each other's lives, right? Right, and it can be developed too, because it can be developed as well. Yeah, what I was saying was it's really important for us to understand these things, because when we hear our fellow souls, in our vicinity, in our area, when we hear their ailments, we don't have to memorize everything, but we can know, oh yeah, let's look that up. When you have this ailment, you might have some imbalance within this sector of your life. Maybe you're holding on to something that you need to release. There's so many things, right? But when we can understand these things on an energetic level and listen to our superconscious who's giving us these clues, hey, this ailment is showing you're out of balance in this area in your life. Look into how to balance that area out, right? We can do it for ourselves and we can help others, show them this information and be like, maybe try XYZ to help rebalance this sector within your life. Or maybe, getting rid of chronic pain from a past life through regression therapy, hypnosis. There's so many ways we can help each other out to move past these chronic ailments and diseases and this and that. Our bodies can literally, the superconscious can heal. Our minds can actually heal. If you read any or do any of Joe Dispenza's stuff, he talks about that. He had a really severe cancer, healed himself. How does that happen, guys? That happens with intention and utilizing your source-given powers of your brain and the superconscious. It doesn't happen overnight, but it can absolutely happen. So it's pretty cool that we're actually given these. That guy's name is Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I can actually, after our live right now, I'll link a few of his books that I've read in my storefront. You can get that link on my Amazon storefront. Is from my TikTok. I added that to my TikTok. So yeah, he's great. He actually does, I've never been to one. I think it would be really cool to go to one. He does group sessions and stuff where you can do meditations with him and all this fun stuff. He's wonderful. But yeah, meditation helps a lot. So yeah, I think that'll probably be good for today. Give you guys a lot of good info, and then we'll pick it back up tomorrow. I want to maybe tomorrow talk more about the chakras, the energy of the chakras and how that shows up energetically, kind of the same vein of what we're talking about today, but from the chakra perspective, right? So we'll do that tomorrow, and I'm probably going to look into more of the future life stuff as well, how that energetically shows up in our current lives. Time-wise, I'm probably like 7:30ish probably again or so. Would probably be good, because I feel like, unless you guys have a suggestion, but I don't know, I like to do things kind of more in the evening. But yeah, if you ever have a suggestion, just I don't really pay much attention to my DMs. A really easy way to get a hold of me, because I look at all of my YouTube, I try to respond to every single one of my YouTube comments, because I'm really trying to bump that up. So if you ever want to put a suggestion towards me, or I technically do have a link that I can share, I just don't know where I'd put it yet. I do have a way that you can actually just fill out a form if you ever want me to cover a specific topic as well, because I'd love to give you guys my take on whatever you're interested in learning as well, within all things like life and spirituality, or, you know, a lot of the stuff that they don't teach in class, essentially, that are important for us to know and understand about ourselves and about each other. So I'll actually find a good place to store that link, and it's a Google form that I already built out for you guys to follow up with me on, hey, I want to explore this topic more, and then I can go ahead and give you my take on said topic. So I'd love to really make sure to be hitting the topics that you guys are the most interested in, of course, within this umbrella of life, death, spirituality, the other side, stuff like that. So, appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you hasta la pasta mañana. Many blessings, my friends. Oh, Ethan, you're so nice. We got all the heart levels, all the chakra levels right here. Boom, 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 boom. I'm getting really good at this. Appreciate you, brother. This is my guy. Awesome. I should probably start like saying a prayer too at the very beginning of our sessions as well, just to set the tone and make sure we're getting all the information that we need to get. So yeah, keep that in mind. I might start doing a prayer right before, just a little something, right? Get our chakras in alignment with the divine. Okay, guys, I'll see you Friday. Take care. Bye, soul fam.